Kia ora e te whānau, and happy holiday season. So I was showing on my last video how I wanted, I deconstructed this book, and I wanted to keep the story intact and tab it so that I could read it to the grandies one day and be able to find it and have it still in order. And I did suggest that if anyone wanted to see that I do a little video. So I'm going to do that today. I did want to, I'll probably deconstruct this book as an example though, because I've already done this one, and trying to explain what I did rather than showing you, I don't think is going to be very helpful. So first of all, the first part is obvious, and this is if the story is in one signature, which I think most storybooks, little children's books are. They don't usually have that many pages, so they're usually just the one signature. Pretty sure little golden books are as well, so it would work for that too. So first of all, why did I go through all this faff? Because I didn't want to put this in the middle of the journal so that it was still readable. I wanted to have pages in between each story page, and this to be woven throughout my journal. So why can't you just put that folio into your first signature? You guys can probably see why that's obvious, because now I have the first page and I have the last page. So the first thing I did was I ripped them all in half, and I kept them in order as much as I could by doing it this way. You can do it with a ruler, but I'm just doing this I'm not about to use this book as this for the same purpose. And this is if you want to keep this cover page, otherwise you would just discard it. So now I have my story completely intact. Honestly, I would maybe even considering sticking a little post-it on each one, especially if the story isn't a really obvious one like The Night Before Christmas, just to make sure that you keep it in order. So now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 pages. So if I had 3 signatures, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'd want 4 per signature. 2, 3, 4, and then that's 4 as well. And again, we want to keep these in order. So I would usually clip them, and when I'm adding things to them, again, I would keep them clipped, as I have here. Okay, so if we put these aside for now, so then the next thing that we need to do, and with my Night Before Christmas, because it was a square story, I folded the edge of the actual pages. Now, the other option, if you haven't got any lenience that you can use for the actual page, you could be, see, this one is going to cut off a bit of the reindeer, but like I say, this is just an example for you guys. Yeah, the alternative would be that you would tab the pages that you're putting with it rather than the actual storybook pages, which would mean that the decorative paper that you're pairing these up with is going to then wrap round onto the picture. but you've got a little bit more choice as to which side you stick it to. For example, where's that reindeer one? You would probably tab the other piece of paper onto this side because you're only going to lose that. You can still see the picture, as opposed to tabbing it onto this side where you'd lose a complete reindeer. But we will continue onwards. Okay, so now that we've done that, I'll just go grab some scrap paper. Okay, so for the purposes of the example, I have just got some pattern paper. Obviously you'd use book pages. If I show you the example of the signature that we haven't done yet for this one, there's my storybook all in order for this signature. And then I've got that was bright white, so I've coffee stained that. I've got a page of the Christmas Carol, I've got a page of file folder, and I've got a page of my antique dictionary with, I found a picture of a deer which I thought was quite cute, and that is off an old book. But for the purposes of this, I will show you just with pattern paper because, like I say, this isn't going to be one that I'm using. So now what we would want to do is we want to tab these to make them back into a folio. And when I'm doing this, I'm going to make it look really overcomplicated, but there is a reason why I'm going to do it that way. Also, you might be asking, well, when you fold those, and I've got an example folio here, why wouldn't you just put an extra folio between, and then you would have one storybook, one normal page, one storybook. So if I give you an example of that, say that one's tabbed together, and then we would put another folio piece in, and you say, well, there you go, done, because that's fine for the first half of this signature. You've got storybook, blank page, storybook, blank page, but by the time you get to the middle signature, you have, as you can see, blank page, blank page, blank page, blank page, blank page. So that would mean that through your storybook, these storybooks are only going to appear in the first half of the signature, and then past the fold line of that signature, it's all going to be no storybook. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. It made sense in my head, but like I say, this really took quite a bit of thinking. So overthinking on my part, yes, but overthinking the same, all the same. So what we're going to do is we have our 4 ripped pages to tab, and if you're going to do what I did and put a tab on the end, I usually try to make sure that these are the same size as or slightly shorter than. Then the storybook pages will stick out more, and so will the tabs. That was something that I haven't done so well on my journal, and that's why, for example, for some of the pages I've had to extend them with scrapbook paper in order for the tab to poke out so that I can still see it. Alright, I am just going to use glue stick. Probably not what I would use, and not what I used when I was doing mine. I was just using my clear acetate quick drying glue. I don't personally trust glue sticks for longevity. Okay, I'm just going to pop this over this side. So first one we are going to do seems absolutely straightforward. We are just going to simply glue that folio together. Now, the tricky bit. Now you want to get the last page and you want to make sure that the blank piece is on top. So folded in the opposite direction. Now that can safely go into there. This will make sense soon, I promise. Now we grab our first one again and we tab it the same way. So that the storybook on the folio is sitting on the front. And I'm not doing this perfectly evenly because, like I say, this is not becoming a book. I should have done it that way. I'll just do it that way. I don't mind that there's glue hanging around. Thank goodness this is an example. It just means that the fold on the original page down there is the strengthened part of the signature that we're going to sew into. It's probably going to stick together, but that's fine. Then I'm going to put that back in. As my second page. Now the last page, because you can see, you're going, hang on a minute, Sara-Lee, but you've got Storybook. Our last page again, we are going to bring back this way so that we are gluing this on top, okay? So this, out of the 4 pages, the first page being page 1, this is actually page 3, okay? So then, there you go. When we put it back into here, we now have Storybook, blank page, Storybook, blank page, Storybook, Storybook, blank page, and they're in order. Please tell me in the comments if this makes sense. It is complicated and I've tried to explain it the most simplified way I could possibly explain it, but it's a complicated little process anyway, I think, by having to go first page, then last page, then second page, then third page if you've got 4. So then all you need to do is tab them, and I have in my journal, because I've plumped it out, I've also got a couple of folio pages, for example, in between in places that now have Storybook, then a couple of blank pages, and then Storybook. But doing it this way, that Storybook is going to be dispersed quite evenly throughout the entire journal, rather than it just being in one chunk, rather than it just being at the front of each signature. So that right there is first signature done. And then we would move on to our second signature of 4 pages. 1, 2, 3, 4. I won't show you, obviously, doing that all over again, because that's the beauty of videos, you can rewatch it. But yeah, so that they all stay together. And like I say, if it's a storybook that can get easily confused, I would probably just temporarily number them. Okay, so if we move on to my last signature, and this time I shall use my proper glue. I have my pages in order. So I'll take my top one, just make sure it's lined up. Now take my back one, if you can hear in the background, we actually live quite a way away from the stock cars, but you might be able to hear them. It kind of sounds like a buzzing. It's annoying, but I wanted to get this video finished for you guys. I should have put that one underneath, but that's alright. Okay, so we'll pop that one in there now. Now we'll take our top one. And we'll pop that one back in there. And if I do it properly, I do like to do it this way. Slight panic there for a while, but no, everything was fine. I just needed to put the pages in. So we've got that page, then we've got blank page, then we've got this page, then we've got that page. And so I have done, if we've labelled them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I did 1, then I did 5, then I did 2, then I did 4, and now I have my 5th one. And that one's pretty obvious because I don't want that there like that, because that would put the two pages together. I want that one there, so that means that this has to be a story page on top. So last one. There we go. And then, like I have in my other ones, there might be small little inserts, folded folios that go in here as well, so that all the pages aren't the same size. But that now doesn't put all the storybook at the front of the signature and then halfway through you've got all the blank ones. And it doesn't mean that the storybook has to be right in the middle altogether as one signature. So now we have a page in between. I hope that that helps, and that it might be something that you guys want to do in your journals as well, just to preserve a story. And I think based on the time of this video, we'll do the tabs in the next video. That means that I can get this one up for you as soon as possible. So let me know what you think in terms of being the date that it is in December and my nonsensical chaos. I was actually going to take a little Christmas break from the Come Make With Me Ringbound and bring that back after Christmas and get a few more Christmassy junk journal-y videos in now before Christmas, as well as the December non-daily. I hope that nobody minds too much taking a break and that you're all in the same boat, bit too busy to be doing the Ringbound anyway. But let me know in the comments if there's anyone that's really I'll go by the consensus, but if there's anyone that's really upset that we're going to take 3 or 4 weeks break from the Come Make With Me, I will definitely consider keeping on doing it weekly. And we are at 9980 subs, so at some point in the future we're going to hit 10k, and I have something exciting arranged for that as well for you guys, to thank you all so much. So I will also do that in the new year as well, so that will be something a little bit exciting and not mixed in with the chaos that this month already is. So let me know in the comments if that helps. If it was too confusing, I'm so sorry. It is confusing. It was confusing even to try and figure it out for my own journal, and maybe there's an easier way to do it. If there is, let me know that too. Until next time, thank you guys for being here. Thank you for making this channel feel like a warm cup of cocoa. And until next time, mā te wā.